Hey everybody, it's John Halpin here with Ryan Fowler. Welcome to the Week 7 Tuesday edition of Pickwatch Live. Ryan and I are licking our wounds from a miserably bad week of selections. We apologize if you watched us and listened to anything we said because just about all of it was bad, right?
I apologize for nothing.
Really?
I stand by every pick. And as we went over in detail last week, stuff happens. But John, I have a great analogy for how bad our picks were. Actually, you review the picks, and then I'll bring the analogy back here in a second.
All right, well, I'll review it. It's ugly. We were both 5 and 10 against the spread. Not a lot of people had bad weeks. We were both 9 and 6 straight up. We were both 5 and 10 against the spread. I am at 45 and 45 for the season. You were at 45 and 43. I mean, it's just basically a piss poor effort right there.
So if anybody watched the Monday night game, there was a guy missing in the San Francisco backfield who usually gets a little bit of run, and that's Alfred Morris.
Right.
Now, Mr. Morris, you might remember, was king of the mountain there for a second in Washington a few years ago. And this just goes to show you how NFL running backs, that timetable is it's a short window. And you see Le'Veon Bell kind of waiting his time to get a little bit more juice on the back end. And here's the thing. John and I have been the kings of the mountain of Pickwatch in the past, but that window is very short. And that's why Alfred Morris was very wise, if you remember back to his Washington days, to keep that car he bought 10 years ago that he bought for $2. Now, my car and probably John's car was not $2, but that is why you are very frugal with your money when watching our picks, because every once in a while we will turn into Alfred Morris, but more times than not, we'll be Le'Veon Bell. And we'll just sit on the sidelines.
I hope so. More often than not, we'll be Le'Veon Bell. Wow. All right. If you say so.
Well, your rap career is a lot better than mine.
My rap career. I am the worst rapper, and as my kids say, the worst dancer and the worst everything. So on the entertainment side of the board there. All right. So let's just quickly review before we talk about some of the rest of the picks that other people made. What did you see Monday night? Great ending, Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, man.
How on earth did the Niners let them keep throwing to the sideline with no timeouts?
Yeah, and I think that's just a team that's trying to, catch their breath, too. They were on the field a little bit for the second half there because their defense isn't – I know the score isn't indicative, but like you have mentioned in previous weeks, their defense isn't awful. There are a lot of bad defenses in the NFL. And when you're going against Aaron Rodgers – but the thing about the Packers, I mean – you look at what Andrew Luck's dealing with as far as receivers go. Yes, Aaron Rodgers has Adams, and he's got Jimmy Graham or what's left of Jimmy Graham. Those names are turning into what Andrew Luck is dealing with out in Indianapolis. I mean, you have some names that I can't even pronounce, and I'm not even going to try and pronounce, but they're making plays, and that goes to show that when they're constructing their roster, McCarthy could get all the grief he needs in the world, and a lot of it's deserved. But they're building rosters that Aaron Rodgers is able to do stuff with, even when you lose a Jordy Nelson at the tail end of his career, even when Randall Cobb's banged up, Allison's banged up. They're reloading. They're not rebuilding. And that goes to show how much of a talent Aaron Rodgers is and that they're getting the right guys to fill those holes. Because, again, you put those guys on the Cleveland Browns with Baker Mayfield or whoever the best quarterback the Browns have had in the last decade, Derek Anderson maybe, Kelly Holcomb, who knows. They're not making that type of noise like they did on Monday night against San Francisco.
You just didn't want to say equanimous St. Brown there, did you?
You practice it in the mirror all morning. I don't want to hear
Did you actually tweet something out yesterday? Have you ever watched Gilbert Gottfried do stand-up?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you fight through the voice, sure.
Gilbert has a bit. It was a long time ago. I saw him, I'm going to date myself, probably in college in like 1991 or something. And he had a bit of, he was in the land of the three-name people. And, you know, Jan Michael Vincent and Meredith Baxter Burney came out and said, "This is the land of the three-name people. What are you doing here?" And they all threatened him. And they chased him and he ran away. And then he wound up into the land of the one-name people with Madonna and Prince and Sting and Seal. And they made him king because he had two names. And it was this big. And that's what made me yesterday. I'm reading going, Marquez Valdez-Scantling and Equanimous St. Brown. I feel like I'm in the land of the three-name people. So,
now, I will date myself and bring it back into the modern. Key and Peele, who were on Comedy Central, they have a skit exactly about that. So it was like a college football all-star game. And some of those names I could see Key and Peele breaking down for the people. And I mean, again, though, this talent that they're finding deep on their roster and wherever. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, he'll make plays with whoever he's got out there. And sometimes he looks cranky, and sometimes he's his own Phillip Rivers as far as tantrums go, even though he does it in a different way. But that was an exciting ending. And, yeah, I mean, San Francisco, a lot of things to build on. That was good to see there.
You know, and you know what else I came away with? C.J. Beathard's not bad.
I was waiting for you to admit it.
You know,
I was looking at stats, and I'm like, he's doing all right.
He's not bad. No. I mean, you can see why when they drafted him, I mean, they gave up on it quickly enough when they had the chance to get Garoppolo.
Yeah, right.
But when they drafted him in the 3rd round last year, they kind of thought, hey, maybe this guy has a chance, you know, to be our guy. And, all right, they decided he's not, but he's not bad. I mean, he could – I wonder if he could start somewhere at some point. I mean, he wouldn't be a high-end starter, and I don't have huge hopes for his ceiling. But you know, put it this way, if he's got a long career ahead of him as a quality NFL backup if he doesn't get to start somewhere.
Yeah, and again, the Packers defense leaves little to be desired, but 10.7 average on the passes. So, yeah. And that was more than Rodgers in a pass-friendly game.
All right. As far as what else is going on Pickwatch, Ben Volen of the Boston Globe went 8-6 in a tough week.
He's human.
Yeah, he's human, but he's way ahead now because Vic Tafer, the Athletic, went 4-9 against the spread. So now Volen's got basically a 6-game lead. He's lapping the field. He's like Secretariat right now. so
many furlongs. So many furlongs.
I actually have a picture of Secretariat up on my wall, right? The Secretariat with the jockey turning his head on sham to find him. I have that on my wall. It's one of my favorite pictures.
It's like Tyreek Hill throwing up the deuces when he's running away from people.
Right, before getting a beer thrown on him. You and I are tied for 15th against the spread. Josh Katzwitz, 25th. Like I said, we had a rough week. As far as straight up goes, the guys at Team Ranking, so I told you before, are 63 and 28. They're leading the pack. Nathan Jenke from Pro Football Focus is close, 1 game behind, 62 and 29. He's a great Twitter follow because he does snap counts.
Oh, I know. I know you love your snap counts.
I love my snap counts, especially when I do fantasy. And I need to find out how Raheem Mostert and Matt Breida broke down last night because Alfred Morris only got 1 snap.
Yeah.
So as far as the straight up, I'm tied for 3rd at 61 and 30. You're 62nd. Josh is 66. So you guys got to step up your game.
I really do. I wish the NFL teams that I'm picking were playing better. That would help my case because.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Man, we have so much to chop up in these games because there's identity crisis left and right in this league. Plus, I don't know if you saw, there was this one Twitter comment. I can't remember who it was, probably somebody we both mutually follow. After the Patriots and Kansas City game, and it might have been before, but nobody can really grasp who they like out of the AFC. And that's a microcosm comment of how our picks go. I mean, like when you can't figure out a top 2 favorite to lead the AFC field 6 weeks in, you're going to have some trouble picking winners, especially when you got to lay some points.
Yep, and there's one team I want to talk about in that very regard later, so we're going to do that. As far as the fans go, Social Seniors 1 is still leading the pack straight up at 61 and 30. Christopher 8124 is 54 and 34 against the spread, leading the way. So nice job there, everybody. We've got more than 1,300 people making picks on Pickwatch every week. So go check it out again. NFLpickwatch.com, obviously, if you're not aware of it already. Go check that stuff out. Remember this week, Josh and I are here Thursday morning doing our show. Josh also does his column every week with the game to bet the life savings on, the game that scares him, and the fun game of the week. So check that out probably late Wednesday, early Thursday. Ryan and I every Tuesday here, and every Sunday pre-game at about 11:45 Eastern going over the inactives and all that stuff. Even though I missed Dalvin Cook on Sunday. Because they were late. That was a late scratch. Because all morning it was, he's playing. Thanks, Vikings. That was fun.
Yeah, that Latavius Murray had a nice game too.
He really did. All right, week 7. Let's go. 4 buys this week now. Packers, Raiders, Steelers, Seahawks. So the Raiders and Seahawks come home from London and get the week off. Let's go to Broncos, Cardinals Thursday night. So people have been talking about how much better the primetime schedule has been this year. And now we get Broncos Cardinals on Thursday. Not great. I do want to sit and watch a full game of Josh Rosen. I will admit that. I'm intrigued. I'm not intrigued with the rest of that team because they are doing themselves a disservice by the way they're using David Johnson. That they're not maximizing his skills at all.
Yeah, I completely agree. And David Johnson's got to be averaging 4 yards per carry. I mean, it doesn't happen overnight where he just loses the magic potion and again, I think it is a usage situation where he's not getting into the game flow. Plus, I mean, the Cardinals defense isn't as good as I think a lot of people thought it would be. Even if it was middle of the road, you take it right now because the defense is allowing or forcing the offense to play from behind, and then that kind of screws up David Johnson's role, even though he can catch out of the backfield and move the chains that way too. He's a 3-down back. But yeah, I mean, my big takeaway from the Cardinals over the weekend was just how bad that rush defense is. I mean, Latavius Murray goes out, rushes for a career high of 155 yards, and don't look now, but the Broncos have a decent rushing attack in the committee. So that will be the matchup to watch when you're looking at points. I think the Broncos have a lot to like in that rushing matchup. And every once in a while, Case Keenum pulls a rabbit out of his hat and makes some plays with his arm, typically to Emmanuel Sanders.
Out of his what?
Oh, head. Sorry.
Head. Jason Witten says it's rabbit out of the head.
Rabbit out of his head. I forgot. And I wrote the Wittism. I mean, I'm just chronicling the best of Jason Witten. And
Good grief.
He has lost all confidence in his broadcasting. He knows Twitter's just destroying him every second now. So now he's thinking about I know how this works. I was a broadcaster on TV day in and day out for 7 years. I know what's going through his head. He's overanalyzing everything he says, and that's why he's tripping up so much. It's awesome. Plus, he is you like anybody who watches realizes he and Boog are having this silent competition. It's amazing. They step over each other all the time.
Yeah. All right. By the way, so the Cardinals here, net points minus 57 over their first 6 games. The only teams worse are the Raiders and the Bills. So Cardinals are struggling. They are at home here. It's not like the Broncos are good. I mean, the Broncos lose a lot of close games. I mean, they did get blown out against the Jets. They actually lose close games at home. They've actually been beaten badly on the road twice, at Ravens, at Jets. So, I mean, I'm Broncos favored here on the road. I'm going home dog here, going back to my tried and true thing of the home dog. This looks like a good home dog spot for me, most likely. The Cardinals also, a couple of injuries to worry about there. Both of their guards, Mike Iupati, his back is bothering him, and Justin Pugh broke his hand the other day. I don't know if that means he'll play or not, but they're hurting at that spot. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that before Thursday.
Yeah, and I think if you're going to back the Cardinals at home here, even though the spread's small, it has to be your belief in Josh Rosen. And I don't know if we have enough evidence to say I trust Josh Rosen home or away or in this matchup. I just don't know if it's there yet. So as of Tuesday morning, I'll lean Broncos. But here's the thing, and this is something that is tried and true at least this season. You give points to a home team this year, and you're probably feeling pretty good. I don't have the win-loss record, which I should probably have against the spread when you're back in the home dog. But a lot of home dogs have gotten a lot of points too, so that's also helped their case. But I haven't seen it from Rosen. When you look at what happened in Minnesota last week, 7 of those points were working with a short field. So technically, you can look at that final at what was it, 27-10? Because right. I think it was 27-17 was
27-17, yeah.
Yeah, so I just Broncos defense isn't what it used to be, so maybe Rosen can chop it up, but I'll lean Broncos.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to lean Cardinals, so we'll see what happens if anything changes before Thursday. All right, Titans-Chargers. This is this week's London game. So you talked earlier about who is it in the AFC? Who do you like? Right. And the Patriots are the easy one to look at because, a few weeks ago we were skeptical, and now you look at them and you go, here they are again. There's just – you got to pick someone, and it's not like anyone else is standing out. Are we ready to believe in the Chargers? They're playing well. Yeah. And I want to believe. I really do.
Right.
Are we there yet? I'm almost there. And the only reason to not be there, I mean, Bosa's coming back soon, we hope, which is going to really give them a shot in the arm. The only reason not to like them is, well, we've seen this before and it's gone bad and they've just shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it is. I mean, Phillip Rivers will make dumb mistakes if you force him into it. But in this matchup, I mean, this is what – I hate that this game's on a neutral field because I think for the Chargers to continue this bus moving along, they need anything but a neutral field, right? I think they just need to kind of stay in the States, enjoy the water. It's nice and lukewarm right now. Maybe they get a little hot. Maybe the bubbles start kicking up a little bit. But I just hate – because, again, the Titans are a complete joke. They shouldn't even be playing NFL football right now. They're just the most frustrating team. And like Mariota, he's playing at 60%. After this past week, glove on, glove off, I have no idea. But this is, and I said it last week, I wasn't going to watch the Ravens and Titans game, and they basically lived up to expectations. Outside, I would have enjoyed 11 sacks of Mariota just to kind of prove the point that the Titans aren't real football right now. But the Titans defense makes enough plays here and there where it can completely flip the Chargers storyline right now on its head, or on its left elbow if Witten was coming up with the idiom. I'll believe in the Chargers. I'll take this. I'll lay the 6.5, but I hate the Titans, and they'll find out a way to win or lose by 4 or something because Phillip Rivers will make a mistake. The nice thing is with Phillip Rivers spreading the wealth out, and Melvin Gordon has taken another step this year, which I think is lost a little bit because of all the weapons the Chargers have, and because Austin Eckler breaks out for a play here and there. But Melvin Gordon's having a huge season that not a lot of people are talking about because of the Patrick Mahomes of the world.
All right. Injuries here. I'm going to leave. I was going to, I'm down on the Titans too. I'm not going as far as you saying they don't belong in the NFL, but whatever.
You can't. They don't score touchdowns. And when you go, at home, see this game last week, I think we were both, and again, our record was 5-10. We were both on the Titans. Ravens kind of got hit in the jaw at Cleveland 2 weeks ago. So you have to travel to Tennessee where their defense makes, but they just don't have enough oomph. And Derrick Henry's a lost cause right now, 6 weeks into the season. So they're just, if Ryan Suckup is your team MVP, good luck. Nobody knows who wants to win the AFC South.
They are struggling. And Mariota, if you look at the offense here, hold on a second, I'm going to pull it up. Mariota passing numbers, it's ugly. Per game, he got hurt in the Miami game or the Jacksonville game. He got hurt in the Miami game and was forced to play in the Jacksonville game. Passing yards by game for Mariota, 103, 100, 344, 129, 117. It's like Otto Graham played, going back. No disrespect to Otto Graham. But
if the Chargers, this is something that I've noticed. When these teams that are favored by 6.5, as the Chargers are in this case, if they turn that ball over on their side of the 50, Titans will cover this game. If they turn it over once on their side of the 50, the Titans will find a way to win this. These turnovers on the favored team side of the 50 are costing a lot against the spread wins.
All right. By the way, Titans linebacker Derek Morgan hurt his shoulder. We're not sure about his status, so we're going to have to keep an eye on that. But anyway, I'm not sure which way I'm going in this game. It's a lot of points on neutral field, much as I like the Chargers. So
right. And again, that's where the script completely flips. I could see myself taking the Titans later this week.
Right. Bills at Colts. The spread, Colts at home favored by 6.5. Spreads over-unders 42.5. Josh Allen. Sounds like Josh Allen's going to be out a while. Yeah. I was reading something today that talked about him being out for maybe 6 weeks. So, and that was a guess from a medical expert. The guy writes for the San Diego Union Tribune, David Chow. Is that his name? I think so.
Yeah, David Chow.
But anyway, it's sort of saying, hey, here's what I think based on what I saw on the sideline and what I saw them doing and how he reacted to it. It wasn't, oh, the Bills doctors told me this. So take this with a grain of salt if you want to. Doesn't sound like Josh Allen's going to play. Probably doesn't matter all that much. Because the performance has not been terrific. I think we might have seen the last of Nathan Peterman, but we've thought that before. Derek Anderson came in last week as the Bills try to create Carolina Panthers North yet again with another former Panther. So I would guess that Derek Anderson is going to start at Indy. And Derek Anderson, he spent a lot of time here as what people here like to think was one of the better backups in the league, which I agreed with. Mm-hmm. That was 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. I thought there was a fade the last couple of years, and he's not the same Derek Anderson that you remember, mm-hmm. and he's not the same Derek Anderson that to me that was a good backup a couple of years ago and came in and helped the Panthers win games in a playoff year. I think he's slipped. I think the Colts are gonna roll here. But then actually, let me correct that. The Bills' defense has actually been playing pretty well. Mm-hmm. They keep them in games. That they're just not going to get it done in some cases. But I wonder about roll. I don't know how the Bills score, but that's every week, and they still seem to keep games kind of close.
Yeah, who did Buffalo play this past week? I'm trying to find the box.
They played the Texans, and they threw an intercept. Peterman threw an interception with the game tied late.
Right. And how many turnovers did Deshaun Watson and the Texans have? That's how the Bills stay
Yeah.
alive. They count on other teams' mistakes, and that's the only way they're going to move. And Andrew Luck will make some mistakes, right? I mean, he'll probably throw 1 or 2 interceptions because he's throwing 40-plus times a game. But I like this matchup for the Colts. And I mean, the Colts offense is clicking. And they got a little bit more rushing this past week, which was a nice little touch. But I know they're throwing 40-plus times a game. And they put up some points even without T.Y. Hilton. I know the Jets kicked 7 field goals and won that game, but I think that you have to buy into Andrew Luck is making chicken soup out of chicken droppings because that offense is moving in the right direction, even without a lot of a rush game and even the mistakes that Luck makes. It's just the defense. But when you're looking at the Bills, what's the threat? I mean, LaShawn McCoy's going to carry it 25 times a game?
Right.
Maybe. But is he going to get in the end zone? No, it'll be Chris Ivory or whoever the heck their running back 2 is right now. I like the Colts in this one.
All right. The one thing I don't get the over under 42.5. And that's a low number.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at I said under as soon as I saw this, just because the Bills can't score.
Right, so, but I mean, 35-7.
I don't know. That's a tough one. I got to think about this. I mean, the Bills are still. I don't think they're a good team, but their defense is keeping it respectable, and it's not like the Colts are any good. So this is a tough one. I don't know about this. This next one, this is not a tough one for me. And it's funny. My friend Boos is back with his lock of the week in the comments, and Boos says the Pats -3.5 at Chicago are a lock. I could not disagree more. I love the Bears so much in this spot. I know they just they threw up on themselves on Sunday against the Dolphins.
Stuff happens.
In a game, it was a stuff happens game. I agree. They gave up a couple. Their defense, which is so good, just gave up a couple of terrible big plays. Albert Wilson just running through them. I don't know how that happened. I mean, they screwed up. They had a bad few plays. It wasn't good. But coming home, nah. This is a pretty good team. I mean, this is a 10-6 kind of team, and they're getting points at home. This is just. There's no doubt I'm going to pick the Bears in this one, getting 3.5.
And how much of that has to do with Tom Brady gets shook when he gets pass rush because Mac's coming, and I think that when Brady's uncomfortable in the pocket, which is very rarely because he can cook a steak back there, or he could cook sushi back there if we're doing witnisms throughout this entire show.
Avocado ice cream he can make.
Yeah, exactly. I think that is a reason to back the Bears because the pass rush is so delicious. And I know it's kind of a cliche at this point, but it is what it is, and you got to find a reason to back the Bears. Because again, you say you love the Bears here. Outside of them being a 10-6 team, what is the driving force behind that? Because we know Tom Brady's going to put up some points.
I mean, this is just the formula for me. Above average team getting points at home. And the Pats are not the Pats are a good team. They're their usual good team. They are not some fire-breathing monster of a team that nobody can beat. They're going to be fine. They're probably going to win 11 or 12 games, just like they always do. But if they're going to lose the 5, I mean, this is just not a good. The Bears shouldn't be getting points here. This is a name brand point spread to me, not a real. The Pats are a 6 points better considering the home field part of the spread. The 3 points for the home field. Mm-hmm. That the Pats are almost a touchdown better than the Bears. I don't believe that. I think they're maybe better, but not by much. I think Trubisky is actually not bad. They're improving on that side of the ball. I think their defense, like I said, I just think they had a couple of bad plays the other day. I am all over the Bears in this spot.
Yeah, the 3.5 is interesting because it's baiting you into saying, oh my gosh, the Patriots just beat the Chiefs, even though that game was very, very close because the common theme with the Patriots is that bend do not break defense, and that defense completely broke down in the second half. So those moments where that defense breaks is where Trubisky has to make something happen. Otherwise, it's going to be the defense forcing a turnover to give Trubisky to work with a short field in order to keep pace. I know the Bears, I have to think about that one. I mean, I'm going to lean Patriots right now, but I find the Bears a fascinating team because of what Mac has brought to the table to put Trubisky in favorable situations. I mean, Trubisky can throw for 500 yards against the Buccaneers all day. I want to see it in this type of primetime matchup that isn't primetime.
All right. And one thing about the Pats, by the way, just to watch for, whether even doesn't make me change my mind. Josh Gordon is now involved in the offense. They played his snap count jumped up this week. I think he was on field for 70% of snaps. They threw to him more. He is now an important cog in that offense, and that's going to mean good things as the season goes on. All right, Panthers at Eagles. Eagles favored by 4.5. Over under 45.5. Eagles, lots of injuries. We talked about the backfield last week. Both of their tackles are hurting. Jason Peters hurt his bicep last week. Lane Johnson is battling a high ankle sprain, but he played. It sounds like if we had to guess, we're doing this Tuesday morning, that they're both going to play. Peters would be the one more likely to miss, but they're both kind of struggling. The Panthers, they kind of threw that game away against the Redskins. The weird thing here, the weird mix is that the Eagles' offensive line has not been very good, and their tackles are hurting, but the Panthers are getting no pass rush on anybody.
Right.
So I can't figure this game. That number seemed a little high to me, but because the Eagles all of a sudden after blowing out the Giants, that spread seems to me that now we're all back on the Eagles bandwagon because Wentz played well last week.
Yeah, and those are those emotional swings when odds makers go to make the lines that I get a little confused because it's like it's a psychological game with the people that are actually placing the bets to say, yep. Oh, Eagles, they're Super Bowl champions and they're defending their crown and they went out and did what they were supposed to do, blowing out a bad Giants team outside of Saquon Barkley. And the Panthers, what were they, 1-point favorites at Washington? So it's like a minor upset for Washington.
Yeah.
Again, and they have Greg Olsen back too, which I think as you ease into it, he made some plays I saw on Red Zone channel. And again, you define the box score how you will. Even if the Panthers lost, are they a Graham Gano field goal short of cover? I think the 4.5 is a weird point spread to buy that much into the Eagles because I'm still not completely sold that the Eagles are back where they need to be, especially with the interesting combination of running backs they're using. I know Smallwood has had some moments, but I think the Panthers can cover 4.5.
Yeah, this one, it's weird because the Panthers they drove down to the Redskins, 15-yard line at the end of the game. So, they were one good play away from being 4-1, but they're also one 63-yard field goal away from being 2-3. So they're sort of a team that you can't quite figure yet. And I watch them pretty closely every week, and I can't quite figure them either.
The one thing that I noticed about the Panthers, and this is 2 years going on, they don't force a lot of turnovers that I've seen. Now maybe I'm
lately, no.
No, and right. It's just you need those bounces, especially when you're a dog, to get yourself in the right position to cover whatever spread that you're down. I think forcing those turnovers are a big part of things. And I know it's profound to say, but really when you're looking at points that you need, those turnovers are all the difference in the world. You need the ball to bounce your way.
Right. This is a team to me. I see them losing a close game here if I'm going to listen to my gut. So that's what I'm thinking on Tuesday. All right. Lions at Dolphins. Okay. So the Dolphins, hang on a second. The Dolphins are 4-2. Now we probably agree that they're somewhat of a mirage of a 4-2, but it's 4-2. Mm-hmm. They're a slight underdog at home to the Lions. What?
Why? This is the Panthers Redskins spread. They're baiting you.
But that's a thing because I think most people thought the Panthers were better. Panthers came in 3-1, and most people thought they were a better team. The Lions on the road? Against a 4-2 team?
And I think a lot of it has to do with you have a backup quarterback in there. You made the point for the spread when you said that the Dolphins had a couple fluky plays where Albert Wilson rises from the dead and runs all over the field. Aside from that,
all right.
I don't. You see what I'm saying? Like, they have their second string quarterback in there who's bounced around the league, 4 teams in 3 years.
Right.
And I'm not completely anti Brock Osweiler. I think he can make a play here and there. Kenyon Drake can run up and down the field, especially against the Lions rush defense. There are windows for the Dolphins here, but I think this is one of those things where you look back at what you just said about the Dolphins' fluke plays being the reason they were able to come against the Bears. I mean, what do you think? The Dolphins should be -3 at home?
Something like that. I mean, are they comparable teams? On a neutral field, this strikes me as a toss-up of a game. So I would have thought the Dolphins were favored by a field goal. I don't know.
I think it has more to do with Osweiler, and that's why odds makers are throwing that trap one out there. That's what I really think.
Okay. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna pick the Dolphins here.
Even if Osweiler starts.
Yes. Okay. I mean, it's not like he's that much worse than Tannehill, is he?
I thought Tannehill was doing some nice things. But again, here's the funny thing, and this is because I'm not as heavily involved in fantasy football as I once was. It seems like the Dolphins wide receiver situation is akin to what the Colts and now the Packers are going through, where it's like, who are these guys catching the ball?
Right.
Like, are they just generating them at the training camp facility, like in a Matrix type cocoon, and then throwing them out on the field? Like, we need somebody this week, make one over the training camp facility. It's just very confusing how they're able to get different names out there. We're like, I remember that guy 2 years ago, and then he makes a couple plays.
Yeah, I was talking to someone yesterday on a fantasy podcast about what worthless touchdowns the Dolphins get.
They really do. It's so true.
Because you picked, Drake and maybe Gore and Kenny Stills, and then you look Sunday and the touchdowns were, Albert Wilson and Nick O'Leary. You're like, what does that do? That does nothing for anybody. But anyway, yeah, I'm even if Osweiler's in, I think I'm going to go Dolphins here. All right, Vikings 3.5 at the Jets.
Jokes. Sorry.
The Jets are – Sam Darnold's not bad.
The roller coaster. He was awful there for 3 weeks.
Sure, but he's a rookie. He'll struggle.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine. That's baked in for me. I'm good with. I mean, but he's showing the flashes. Like Josh Allen's not showing any, but Sam Darnold is.
But I mean, look at the Jets have talented receivers. Jermaine Kearse, veteran. Robbie Anderson broke out last year with who was it? Josh McCown, Isaiah Crowell, veteran, who had a regress week this week. Bilal Powell's been there forever. What does Josh Allen have? Baker Mayfield is lost 2 wide receivers and has Jarvis Landry and Antonio Callaway get 20 targets and 20 yards. Awesome. Yeah. I think Darnold has a lot to work with there that is going to give me a little pause when I say, 80% against the Colts defense, great. 7 field goals, not closing. That's an issue when you have to cover spreads.
Right. Where are the Vikings for you? What are they right now? I mean, they had that game the other day. You thought that was a blow 'em out spot. I mean, they gave up a touchdown on a turnover, on a fumble recovery touchdown. But again, I mean, that's what hurt them against the Bills. I always look at those and I go, yeah.
You took the words out of my mouth. Here's what's going to happen. Cousins has 8 turnovers, 5 fumbles lost, 3 interceptions. If Cousins turns the ball over in this game, the Jets will cover. I guarantee it. Because what is happening, and this goes back to my earlier point, when Cousins and the Vikings are turning the ball over, it's always on their own side of the 50. You give a rookie quarterback with that offense a short field to work with, Josh Allen will rip you, and when you have to cover 10.5 against the Cardinals like I had to, they're going to lose by 10. I mean, these are those moments where dogs can come back and bite you when you keep – Cousins has been great. Adam Thielen, best receiver in the NFL some people are talking about him, but that's just the people that run in our circles. I don't think he's just getting the headlines that he deserves. Mike Thomas did the first 3 weeks. Thielen's done it for 6. I like the Vikings a lot. I think that they'll figure it out by season's end, but this seems fishy to me. This game is very, very dangerous because I'm so high on the Jets and it's not because they kicked 7 field goals. They weren't closing drives. So there's a lot of reasons to fade the Jets here, but I think the Vikings are making dumb mistakes that cost them opportunities to cover. So straight up, give me the Vikings. To cover, I might take the Jets at home.
Yeah, if it's 3.5, I might take the Jets too. I really just, after last week, I might just pick every home dog without even analyzing the game at all. I might be better off.
You know what? I really think that's what Ben Volin's doing from the Boston Globe. You know what'll be a telling game of what Ben's doing because he covers the Patriots is what happens in that Patriots-Bears game. Right. Watch Ben's pick against that, and we'll kind of get an idea of how he's doing things. All
right, Bengals-Chiefs. Chiefs by 6, over under 58.5.
Over.
Yeah, right. The Bengals actually, their leading tackler, linebacker Nick Vigil, was on crutches after the game, hurt his knee. We're going to have to watch his status, which makes it even more of an offensive game. I think the Chiefs bounce back here. Bengals have been one of the more pleasant surprises in the league, I would say. Yep. Fair?
Absolutely.
Okay. Net points, they're still almost even on points. They're plus 16 in 4 games. So they're, I mean, that's not everything. I get that. They had a bad loss the other day. Bad ending against the Steelers at home. The Chiefs are a good team. I don't care. The thing that bothered me about that game, watching that game.
Which game?
Patriots. It was a great game. It was I loved it. It lived up to every bit of hype. And I don't care, people who love defense and didn't like it. I don't care. I loved it. But I had Twitter open in the second half, and so many people were talking about the Chiefs' terrible run defense, which it was terrible. But it was sort of like, no team can win with a run defense this bad. The Patriots are imposing their will. I'm like, dude, it was 40-40 with 30 seconds left. Don't tell me they can't win. Teams have strengths and weaknesses. And this is not, Woody Hayes isn't coaching anymore that I need to, I need to defend the run or I have no chance. They obviously did have a chance. They almost won in New England. They lost by a field goal. And, hey, the Pats ran all over them. All right. Well, it is what it is.
Well, and Patrick Mahomes broke out of his fog. I mean, what he had done the previous 2 games going into New England, and then that first half, we're like, uh-oh. But then, and this is where quarterbacks with potential kind of break out and say, no, I'm going to be here for a while, and you better get to know my name. Because what he did in the second half shut me up. I'm like, he's regressing to the mean. Water's reaching its level. And then he goes out in that second half. And because I guarantee he has Andy Reid, he's got a brilliant coaching staff, and they saw something on that Microsoft Surface or whatever they look at when they see the coverage, make the adjustments. And this is what drives me crazy about the Chiefs. How does Tyreek Hill continue to get open? I know he's fast, but he'll catch it in space, and then he's running away from you. It's almost like you need a spy on Tyreek Hill.
He's open by 5 yards every time he runs a pass route.
Yeah.
He's always, and the smart people, I credited this guy on our podcast yesterday, Matt Harmon, who does fancy work for Yahoo and does a lot of work with wide receivers, told me a summer before last that Tyreek Hill was a legit receiver when I thought he was, the second coming of Percy Harvin and was going to run jet sweeps for his whole career. He was like, no, this guy's always open by like 3 yards on every play. And he is. He's fantastic.
I like the Chiefs in this one.
Me too. I think the point spread's not scaring me away from that, at Arrowhead especially. Browns Bucks. It's at Tampa. Bucks favored by 3. Over-unders 49. Buccaneers fired their defensive coordinator Mike Smith because they're leading the league in points allowed. On the other side, Baker Mayfield hurt his ankle. Probably fine, but something to keep an eye on, I guess. I'm not sure what to make of this because they're both kind of. I always say I like the Browns. I think they're not bad. I think they're, a 7-9 kind of team or something and 1 kind of team generally.
7-9. All right.
But the Bucks are not bad either. I kind of like Jameis.
Yeah.
I know he had a couple of picks. But I'm not sure what to do. My gut says Bucks, but I could sort of this wouldn't be a game I'd be going out of my way to wager one way or the other.
Right. I'm going to lean Bucks. I think Browns are kind of in a little bit of a pickle right now. I mentioned the stat earlier, Jarvis Landry and Callaway, their top 2 receivers. They get all the targets in the world. They're not moving the chains. They're not getting Nick Chubb involved enough in the rushing game. It's always Carlos Hyde and then Duke when they fall behind. See, this is this roller coaster that drives me crazy about teams like the Browns. You go to Oakland and stuff happens, and it's just a high-scoring affair. Then you come back against Baltimore, and you slow them down in that defense. Oh, they are good. And then you play the Chargers, and then they light it up again, and it's just completely a mess. And your offense is kind of what it was against Baltimore. So that's 2 straight weeks where your offense has kind of been meh. And I know Baltimore's defense is through the roof great. It just seems like the Browns are regressing backwards and not going forwards. I know they got the win against Baltimore. That doesn't mean it was a sexy win. They even admit it was an ugly win. And you go to Tampa Bay on the road, I'll take the Buccaneers in this one.
Yeah, it seems to me that the types of teams that the Bucs are the Browns will do better against are not high octane offenses, and I kind of think that's what the Bucs are.
Yeah, and see, it's funny you mentioned that because the way the Saints game shook out, but it seems like the Saints were trying to get their feet under them in that game because since then it's been complete. They saw something on tape in that game. We're like, oh, we'll do this, and then just completely annihilate teams.
Man, Denzel Ward. Remember how people beat them up for that pick? He's good.
He's great.
He's really good.
Yeah.
All right.
I think they were hung up a little bit on the Justin Gilbert trade and losing out on Sammy Watkins.
Probably true. Jags 4.5 over the Texans at home. Over unders 42.5. Bortles did not play well against the Cowboys, but this game, the other quarterback, Deshaun Watson, he was limited in that game they played against the Bills because of his injury. He clearly wasn't tucking and running, which is a big part of his game. I look at this game, and as bad as Bortles looked, I go, all right, the Jags are a way better team than these guys. And now that they're 3-3 coming off that bad loss, they're going to come home and just kick the snot out of these guys. That's my first reaction looking at this game. The Texans are not a good team. The Jags are a pretty good team that's struggling more than they probably should. I think this is just a nasty spot the Texans are walking into.
Yeah, I'll take the Jaguars. I'm so disappointed in what they did in Dallas, though. I mean, I tweeted at you. Stuff happens. And the funny thing, so let's break that down real quick. I'll do it in 30 seconds. When you look at that box score and you look at the flow of that game, because it got out of hand early, Jaguars pass defense tops in the league. And if you look at Dak's stats, they weren't great in the passing game. He targeted Cole Beasley 11 times, 9 receptions. Look at the rest of the receiving corps. It was like, nothing. Pepper, nothing. So Jaguars' pass defense was fine, even though the score indicated or was indicative of, oh my gosh, look at how great the offense was. It was one-dimensional. And the Jaguars' rush defense isn't very good. I believe they're like between 17 and 20 against the rush, middle of the road. And Dak was calling his own number. And when you run the RPO, you're going to have some issues when you have rush defense because you're picking Zeke or Dak. That's kind of tough to contain. And a lot of what worked for them was that with Watson hurt, circling back to how it applies this week, with Watson dinged up because of the game he played against the Cowboys, that's a big part of where they could take advantage of Jacksonville. And they need DeAndre Hopkins, Fuller, and Kiki Coutu to have great games. And I probably pronounced Coutu.
What was that? Can you say that again?
Kiki Coutu.
QT.
Kuti, Kiki, do you love me? So yeah, I like the Jaguars in this one to bounce back because the matchup lines up good for them.
I'm cutting that piece of that and tweeting it out. That Kiki right there.
It'll be on YouTube.
Forever. Am I underestimating the Texans? They're 3-3. They won 3 in a row.
I think their defense, the rush defense, is in a better spot, which just allows for Blake Bortles to torch their pass defense. I think Bortles has been so bad as far as a passing quarterback the last 2 weeks. I think this is where he could kind of get it going because he did it 3 weeks ago. I mean, he's had some games this year where against New England, and I would say New England's pass defense is better than Houston's. It's just a matter of staying away from J.J. Watt's grasp because that guy is a fountain of youth right now.
All right, Saints at Ravens. Ravens favored by 2.5, over under 49.5. This is a great game. I don't know if I get this game here, but I hope we do because this is a great game. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Saints, the defense is rounding into form, which we talked about. The offense is obviously strong. The Ravens they're better than I thought. I know that. Their defense has, as you said, been just tremendous.
Marshawn Lattimore concussion protocol. It sounds like he'll probably get cleared. The only reason he hasn't been cleared to this point because they didn't practice because of the
right. So I don't know. My first reaction is I'll just probably take the Ravens because they're at home and the spread's small. But I'm looking forward to seeing this game. I think it's going to be really good.
Yeah, I would lean Ravens at this point. It's the unstoppable force, immovable object. I mean, it runs right into the idiom. Or what? What would Witten say about that? I really need to tweet at him and see how that goes.
I really don't know I never know what he'll say now, so I don't know.
Just a runaway train is his train of thought. The one thing I am kind of interested in, because again, the Ravens still haven't allowed a second half touchdown. They're going to allow a second half touchdown in this game. I do believe. I think that there's just too many things that you need to stop with Drew Brees, and Drew Brees is such a surgeon. He's going to find a way to get 7 points on the board in that second half, which again might put the Ravens on their heels. Plus, the one thing about the Ravens the last few weeks, they scored 21 against the Titans, a good defense, and I think the Saints are kind of in that realm with the Titans,
right?
Especially the way that they're progressing upwards. Alex Collins is not rushing for more than 3 yards per carry. So you have the 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and it just seems like the passing game of the Ravens that was so great those first 3-4 weeks has totally regressed to what we thought they were. Crabtree had a nice game this past week, but I think that they just don't have enough that you're going to see them score, I don't know, in that 24 range. I do think this over is tempting because I think both teams could get to 50, though.
See, I think this is an under.
You do?
I do, absolutely do. I think the Ravens defense makes this an under, and I think the Saints on the road, with the defense that's getting better, I think this is an under.
I think Kamara is a big thing, too, because Kamara, the way that – and Coach Payton mentioned this in the game against the Redskins, there were so many chunk plays, Kamara really didn't get going. And Ingram didn't do – I mean, he scored the touchdowns, but he didn't have a huge game against the Redskins.
Right.
Kamara getting back involved will be, as he often is, a very big factor in this game.
By the way, if you're into we talked point differential before. Rams have the best point differential in the league at 76. Ravens are right behind Rams are 78. Ravens are plus 76 right behind. Ahead of the Chiefs, ahead of the Patriots, ahead of everybody. I know some of it, they blew out a couple teams like Broncos. But
one quick stat. If you remove the Bengals game from the Ravens schedule, their defense is allowing 8.5 points per game.
Wow. All right. Cowboys at Redskins. Cowboys getting 1.5. Over-under's low, 41.5. The Redskins defense, outside of that Saints Monday night game, the Redskins defense has been pretty good. The Cowboys offense, we just talked about it. I mean, what was last week? Was last week the fluke, or is that the way Dak is going to play from now on?
It's a trap.
I think they're so limited. I think the Redskins are just – the Redskins defense against the Cowboys offense makes it – this is such an advantage Redskins here in this game that, I think it's a low-scoring Redskins, 20-10 win.
Redskins rush defense, top 6. I think they are 6 against the rush. And then you put Norman on Cole Beasley or whatever defensive back you want to put on Cole Beasley. All right, now what? Go. Prescott it. Let Prescott win. Stop Zeke. Put somebody on Cole Beasley, and they're hosed.
Yep. Yeah. And they, the run game, they shut the Panthers down the other day in the run game. Cam ran a little, but McCaffrey didn't do much. I know Zeke and McCaffrey are different types of backs, but yeah, I'm on the Skins in this one, I think. Rams Niners at San Francisco. Rams favored by 10.5, over under 53.5. Short week for the Niners coming. That's a long trip back from Green Bay from Monday night. Cooper Kupp might be out for the Rams. He hurt his ankle. Sounds like he might be out for a little while. I don't know. It's a lot of points to give on the road to me.
Yeah, and we love C.J. Beathard now.
Yeah, we love C.J. Beathard, right?
And what, Mostert, nice game. If you have a two-headed monster, Mostert and Breida, that's delicious. And you said you needed to check on snap counts on that. But again, you bring those two in to the fold. Marquise Goodwin doesn't get enough love. I think that guy is a very, very – Tyreek Hill is way up here, right? But if Goodwin was on the Chiefs, could Goodwin be – and they're similar type breakaway receivers. Hill runs away and makes plays on special teams. But Goodwin has made plays like that over the last few years with Beathard and with Garoppolo. So I think there's a weapon there that they can lean on. Plus, how many times does George Kittle's name get called on any given day? I think the 49ers can cover 10.5 here. So
looking at the Rams schedule, 3 road games so far. In week 1, they were tied at half against the Raiders, right? And then they pulled away. But the Raiders, I think we agree, are especially bad.
They're terrible.
Right. Then at Seattle, they get a late field goal, and they win by 2. They win 33-31. Then they go to Denver. It's a game. Look, they won by 3. Yeah, the Broncos scored a late touchdown to get sort of the backdoor cover there.
Made me very mad.
Yeah. I had the Broncos. It was one of the only things I did right all weekend. But that just makes me look as good as the Rams are, and I think they're the best team in the league. 10, like I said, 10.5 is just a lot to give on the road. I don't think I'm going to give it.
You know, one thing, the way you kind of laid that out made me think of something. The Rams score so fast. It's almost like that's a problem when you're laying 10.5. They're scoring so fast that they're allowing time on the clock for the other team to draw up these long drives to either score 7 or 3, and that's allowing them to stay around when the point spread hits double digits. I didn't think of that just now. Like they're so lightning quick. Todd Gurley's hitting so many chunk plays. That's probably not a great thing for backers of the Rams.
Also in this game, just remember, I didn't see I didn't watch that game closely the other day, so I don't know how Marcus Peters played. But just remember, the Rams are a little dinged up on defense, having Talib being out and Peters playing. I mean, before this past game, Peters was, I think, if you buy the Pro Football Focus grades, I think he was 106 out of 111 at cornerback in the league. I mean, so they can be beat through the air. Not like C.J. Beathard's awesome, but teams can score on them unless they get to the passer. So, like I said, on the road, it's just a lot of points. That's all. Yeah. Giants-Falcons. Falcons favored by 6. Over-unders 54. Falcons still banged up. Devontae Freeman's probably not going to play again. Their kicker, which probably doesn't matter, just get another kicker. Matt Bryant's probably out. Remember, the Falcons are still down 4 starters on defense. Maybe they're hoping Grady Jarrett, the defensive tackle, gets back this week. The Giants are terrible. But the Falcons are struggling. I mean, they beat the Bucs. It was a close game. That lateral at the end, that was awesome. They almost lost that game.
I yelled at the TV. I don't usually do that.
I don't know. The Falcons have struggled enough. The smart play is the Falcons here. Like I look at the Giants, and part of why I struggle with the Giants, I understand that they're bad. I understand I'm a Giants homer, right? But they have 2 guys who can score anytime they touch the ball. Especially Barkley now. He's just, it's not like he's running through holes. He's just, he's Superman.
I yelled at the TV in that game too. I lied.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the smart play here is, I mean, look, if there's a defense the Giants can maybe, gain some ground on, it might be the Falcons just because they're so beat up.
It's so funny. You go through that whole analysis. You probably spoke for 30, 45 seconds there. You never mentioned Odell Beckham. That's a problem for the Giants.
I referenced him.
What's that?
I said they have 2 guys who can score anytime they touch the ball. I know I didn't say his name.
But, I mean, he needs to have his name said out loud. Otherwise, the Giants aren't going to make any progress this year. I mean, when you look at this matchup, and Saquon can go out there, and every running back has had success against the Falcons that have lined up against him. I think even Peyton Barber broke a big one early in that game. I didn't see what his final stat line was. You get the Giants can backdoor cover this very easily with the 6 because the Falcons can't close games and their defense is just so chewed up. They let everybody stay around. I know the Giants look like garbage, but they went into Houston a couple weeks ago and pulled one off. And, I mean, Houston's defense is better than the Falcons.
That's fair. Are they – again, this is – I often do this. I look at a team and I go – are they going to roll over and die? And if not, where do they fight? And this might be a spot.
Yeah, I'll take the Giants. I think I'll stick with that too. I don't see myself. And again, Falcons could go out there. See, this is the problem with that 6. It's like touchdown late, extra point, and you lost. But I think that the Eli will have the ball last, come back down, make things interesting, and it'll be low 30s, high 20s final, and look at that over.
Yeah. I think that goes over. But one other thing about them, as bad as they are, like when your team's bad, sometimes you go as bad as the Giants are, you get so frustrated with your team that you want to tune out, right? That sometimes you just go, you know what, I can't watch this tonight. It's halftime, they're losing 20-3. I'm not going to watch this anymore. Saquon Barkley is must-see TV.
And that's what the Browns during all their horrible years was missing. They were missing that must-watch guy because there are different moments where your teams go through these lulls and you need a Saquon Barkley to get eyes and butts and seats at the stadium. The home experience is a lot better, or eyeballs in front of the TV, and that's what Saquon does for Giants fans, which when the Browns went through their lull, they didn't have it. Now they have it with Baker. They should have had it with Josh Gordon because watch Gordon have a nice little season for the rest of the year with the Patriots.
Yeah.
See what happens.
All right, that's it. We covered all the games. Get us on Twitter. Ryan's at Freelance Fowler. I'm at JHalpin37. You can also tweet us at Pickwatch. Anything else you missed? Anything else we want to talk about?
We talked too long. This was a longer one today. I apologize for anybody that was on a schedule. But again, so much to chop up.
We have one less game. We're down to 14 games this week.
We talked longer on fewer games. We were vamping. I think that's hashtag vamping.
Thank you. All right, let's wrap this up then. Everybody, again, make your picks and keep up with all the picks at NFLPickwatch.com. You can make college picks. You can do Survivor. You can do against the spread straight up, whatever you need to do. And keep track of all the picks that whether it's our picks or the fans. Because actually, one quick thing to go longer. When I talked on Sundays when we have all the picks in, sometimes it helps if you're trying to win a pool, let's say a weekly pool, sometimes being contrarian helps, even if it's for the sake of being contrarian. Sometimes if there are games where you need to differentiate yourself. And the two games that I think we talked about on Sunday morning were one, let me take a quick look at what the numbers were. That everybody was picking the Jags and everybody was picking the Panthers. And what I said to people, I was picking the Jags and the Panthers too. But what I said to people, and you can find this out, you don't need me to tell you, you can go to Pickwatch and say, okay, if I'm looking to zig where everybody else zags, hey, here are two home underdogs that everybody's picking against. So we'll go into Pickwatch and check in everybody else's picks, whether it's the fans' picks or the expert picks. It's an interesting way to kind of look and say, all right, how am I going to, tweak my pool to be a little different than everybody else? So because if we all pick the same, then we're all going to be in the same boat and have the same record. There's ways to do that. So I think that's a decent way to do it. I
just thought everybody lost after the Vikings lost to the Bills.
In Survivor? Yeah. That's true. All right, folks. That's it for today's edition of Pickwatch Live. Remember, I'll be back on Thursday with Josh Katzowitz to take a deeper look at all the picks for the Week 7 games. So please come on back then. For Ryan Fowler, I'm John Halpin. Thank you for watching Pickwatch Live.